We start a little bit different than this, but I wanted to take just a moment and recognize what's been going on the last few days. We would be remiss if we didn't mention this, and I don't want to get into specifics, and I don't want this to dominate our discussions tonight, just because there's a lot of discussions of people that are far more qualified than any of us on this panel and can go a lot deeper into detail than any of us on this panel. But we think it's important, and I think I speak for all of us on this panel and all of us involved in this show when we say that hatred in any way, shape, or form is wrong. No matter where it comes from, no matter who it's to. The things that have happened lately are horrible. They're terrible. And it's weighed on my soul very, very deeply for the last few days. My heart and my spirit have been very, very heavy. Our thoughts, our prayers, our condolences, every piece of our being goes out to the people that are fighting right now, whether themselves or with others. You know, my mother used to say, if you're going to believe in something and you're going to do something, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, it's okay. Well, you know what? Some of it's not. We hope that there's a resolution to this very, very soon. We hope that we can heal together and be one together. Again, hatred in any form, for any reason, is wrong. And if your mission is to hurt other people, you might want to rethink that mission. We love each and every one of you with a love that you can imagine. And we look forward to the day when all of us can be together again and that we can work our way back to unity. If you're out there, please be safe. Know your convictions, and we love your convictions. But please be safe to yourself and to others.
Oh, yeah!
It is 7:05 on the East Coast. It is 4:05 on the West Coast. It is the 31st of May in the year of our Lord 2020. Season 10, episode 32. 528 times this face and or this voice has welcomed you to the Clubhouse Podcast. You have to forgive me. I'm trying to compose myself a little bit here. We are your one-stop shop for all things pop culture. We are so happy that you're here, and we hope that for the next 90 minutes or so, we can provide you with some entertainment. Because as a member of the Empire, we love you so much. Sorry about that. Got a little misty there. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast. And I would thumb kiss you if I could. That's your fault, sir. Just know it. Let's go around the dais. To my left is the lady of the house and somebody who's ready to get the wheels back on it. She is Jen Rome. Welcome, friend.
Hello, everyone. So glad you're here with us. And I do have to say it's hug and then Whataburger. There are people that will understand what that means, and it's for them.
But don't hug a Whataburger, because that's just messy. Actually, I had Whataburger last night for dinner. It was delightful.
Some good stuff.
I feel bad for people that don't have Whataburger. Rounding out the dais is my co-host and a man that has a motorcycle with wings. Not a lot of people know that. He is Alex. Hey, brother.
Really, I'm not calling to you?
No, I figured.
And for the record, the thumb kiss is Richard's fault.
Richard Shealy. This, for those of you that can't maybe see the entire shirt, Alex actually got this for me, and I didn't know it's from the movie Megaforce, which we referenced on last week's show. And hey, $3 on Amazon,
and it's terrible worth it.
And shout out to Richard's son Zach, who graduated high school last weekend. He got a bunch of Amazon gift cards, and I told him if he just used all of them for Megaforce, he could watch it an unlimited number of times for like a year and a half. So there's that. All right.
He's going to try and cash him in for eBay credit for something. I'm just saying.
You know, I'm wondering one day if it will. Well, I mean, you can buy textbooks with it, but one day will it help toward, paying tuition? Can you use,
Amazon
like
University?
Yeah, but kind of like we have.
We're on that road.
We have Bitcoin. Will it be Amazon rewards points and everything be the currency one day?
Oh, geez. Hold on. I got to mute this.
I wonder about that. Actually, you know what? That's pretty interesting because of Amazon branching into all things. That might be worthwhile. And if I am one of the loyal customers, I, for one, welcome our future robot Bezos overlord. Did we give you enough time?
We're getting there. Like I opened a browser for the first time all day, and everything's going crazy.
So since we're talking Amazon, I discovered season 1 of Carol Burnett on Amazon Prime.
Interesting.
And for the most part, it holds up. There's a few skits that deal with like product logos and concepts and stuff that aren't still current. But it's really neat to see the show. And yeah, some of the audience makes me think of my grandma because it's the styled hair that's sprayed and flipped and the thick glasses. And
I think there's only one thing I remember from that show. And is she the one that did the ear tug?
Yep.
Yeah, that's how she said hi to her grandma.
Right. That's the only thing.
I love you to her grandma. But,
And if you ever need a break from the monotony, just go to YouTube and search for Carol Burnett outtakes.
Oh, yes.
Nothing is funnier on God's green earth than watching Tim Conway and that entire cast, Harvey Korman, Carol Burnett, going out of their way to try to break each other.
My Steve Trevor.
Yes. So great. Look that up.
So.
All right. So today, the race is still going on.
That seems to be a pattern now.
So we're at the Food City Presents the Supermarket Heroes 500.
That's a mouthful of a name.
At Bristol. So next week we have 2 races. Is this our
first one that's Wednesday, Sunday?
No, we've had 2 already, but we don't have one this week. No Wednesday race this week. Next Sunday will be in Atlanta. Although it's the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia.
Semantics. I mean, how many things say Dallas that have never been Dallas here?
Well, haven't been Dallas in a long time, at least.
But you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm
But
a
that will be the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. Is 500 miles really a quick trip? I think I would call it the QT.
I think I have to tell you you're slightly wrong on this one because of spelling semantics. If they included the C in quick, then you'd have an argument.
Yeah, but that's the point of the name Quick Trip, because it's a quick trip. You're in and you're out.
But I would walk 500.
Where is it? It's not touchscreen.
He's gotta find it.
It's not touchscreen. It's not touchscreen.
It's not touchscreen.
How many times do I have to tell you it's not touchscreen?
There it is.
I had to go for
Sorry,
the
new studio. We're still working out the
most
studio.
Delayed rim shot.
But we do want to say thank you to the 4th member of this merry band who just turned my entire panel off. Jay has control of my screen, and it drives me crazy.
This merry band of idiots.
The host of Big 12 Talk, Jay Gillespie's in the other room. You doing okay in there, man?
I'm doing well, man. You have it back up. You have it back up.
I can't wait for him to just start messing with you during the show.
And I don't know how, but the race is live, but on their website now they actually changed the color of the icon because it looks like they're under caution because it was green and the live icon now turned yellow. So next Sunday, the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. By the way, Quick Trip, great flatbreads. Had a couple of chicken bacon ranch this morning. Put a little pepperoni on it, gives a little extra flavor. Big fan.
I miss sheets.
And then next Wednesday, on the birthday of the lovely and talented Mrs. Irvin, the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500 from Martinsville.
Good luck with that.
And then, we'll talk about that later. But there's a lot going on. We are racing. That's the only Wednesday race that I can see currently on the schedule. But we've only got 3 races in July. They'll be racing on July 5th because the 4th is on a Saturday this year. We know that because my birthday's the Thursday before. And then we'll race that following Saturday, July 11th, and then Sunday, July 19th. That's all I'm seeing. Everything else is either Saturdays or Sundays.
Right.
So you got that going for you, which is nice. All right. Let's talk sports. Sports. So apparently Vince will not bid. Vince McMahon will not bid on the XFL.
Well, I think somebody caught on to what he was doing. So there's one of those where it's like,
you can't buy your own company back for pennies on the dollar.
Not without breaking at least some security.
Yeah, there's got to be something in there where Martha Stewart's like, I have a question.
I have a question. I did make friends with Snoop Dogg based on my time served.
And the Snoopy Dogg, isn't he in the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame?
I don't believe he is.
Isn't it? I have a question and some brownies.
Brownies.
If you just heard that, that is my stomach. Thank you.
You know my favorite Snoop Dogg quote of all time, right?
Which one?
It comes from, remember he was Huggy Bear in the Starsky and Hutch movie?
Right.
My favorite quote of all time. When they're out there on the golf course. And the guy says, man, you know a lot about golf. He goes, know a lot more about grass.
That is fair.
Go Snoopy Dogg. Okay. The NBA play-in tournament now allegedly setting to start next month. The Disney talks are still going on. To me, Disney is still the right move. I still believe if I'm Vegas and I've got the choice between housing the NBA and reopening my town, I'm going with the second option.
Right. It helps more people. If you can do both, obviously that's a huge win, but I don't think you can make that decision.
Yeah, the logistics there for why we're trying to go to Disney kind of negates itself at that point.
To confirm, yes, Snoop Dogg 2016.
Okay. The European Golf Tour is coming back this Saturday. So you got that going for you.
You know what? It doesn't get the credit it deserves because PGA is the end-all, be-all in most instances, but some of the most beautiful courses on the planet get played on that Euro Tour.
The links courses, if you will.
Surprisingly, not as many as you would think.
They're a pain to play on Tiger Woods, I can tell you that.
I have no problem with them, but I'm better than you.
That's true.
And you know it.
No Can I give you a piece of irony based on that?
The forest courses that they have in the middle of Europe are amazing. Difficult, but amazing.
So I had lunch with my sister today. The greatest Cracker Barrel. Shout out Cracker Barrel. Got that hash brown casserole.
Yes.
After I dropped her off and I was coming to the studio, as I was pulling out of the interstate, there was a car that looked a lot like hers. And the license plate started with MJF. And I giggled. I giggled very loudly.
Of course it would.
Most of these startup dates we have right now are coming from European leagues. La Liga will resume on June 11th. The Premier League will be back on June 17th, and Serie A, I did not try to wake up your phone. I apologize if I did. Will be June 20th. So that's another soccer league, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
So there's a lot of soccer leagues, and I have problems getting through them all.
Depending on where you are, football.
Football. The biggest sports story this week for me is the problems with the Major League Baseball minor league teams. Over 1,000 people lost their jobs this week, and now there are rumors of them contracting a number of the teams to shrink things down. We keep saying this is going to get worse before it gets any better, and can we get to that point so we can curve it around a little bit, please?
Well, there is a positive. Unfortunately, it's a gray positive, though. Did you see the David Price thing?
Please go ahead.
He is giving $1,000 of his own money to every minor leaguer released in the Dodgers system, for whom he now plays.
I was going to say, let's clarify David Price, pitcher for the Dodgers.
Who was part of the here you have to take this if you want Mookie Betts trade.
Mookie.
But the dude has not even thrown a professional pitch for the organization, and he knows how bad it is that he's donating. Now, granted, he shouldn't have to. We've had this discussion in other sports. But kudos to David Price stepping up and doing something positive.
Agreed. By the way, I don't know if you saw this on camera, but it's a pretty good-looking decal right there on my cup. Would you like a decal that matches our what's our thing? Our logo? I know English.
Our insignia.
I might know somebody that can help you get
That's right.
those.
You can email me. We can send them to you. Just email Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. We've got decals for both the Cheap Popcast and the Clubhouse Podcast. See, I drink this one on this show, and then I drink this one on the other show.
Wherever would you get an idea like that?
It's magic. I'm fooling you, and you don't like it. Some of you will get that, and some of you won't, and that's okay. And if you guys don't ask me after the show, I'll tell you. Because I can't talk about that the rest of that.
And if you want to pay $1 for each one, contact me.
Hey, if you want to Venmo us money, we're not going to turn it down. I'm just saying. So let's get into some TV headlines now. Amazon working on a standalone TV series for the Elizabeth Salander. If we all know who she is.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to go with it because Amazon has done a lot of great work, especially with more adulterated characters. So I think that this would be well received by especially book
General,
fans.
this might help you. The series will be called The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. One of the best books I've read in many, many years. Pay no attention to I love Daniel Craig, but pay no attention to that film because it's not even close.
I've paid so little attention, I forgot who was in it.
The Swedish version, which is really weird because I saw the Swedish version first. They used a lot of the same sets.
Yes.
So it gets a little weird in certain points with the American version. The way the book ends is a lot different.
Which book? There's a number of them.
No, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is the first book.
Yeah,
That's the first. I haven't gotten to the other.
I didn't know if you were talking about a specific.
No, the first Stieg Larsson book.
Okay.
Don't read it to the kids. Just telling you.
Don't let the kids watch.
There's a certain sequence of revenge that's done in the Swedish version better than it's done in the American version.
I've heard that
And-
a lot of the Swedish.
And that's all I've seen is the Swedish revenge
It's
section.
it's
and-
pretty close to the book.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's-
if that's where you're coming in,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, wait,
But
maybe
it's-
this isn't for me.
I would recommend that you read the book because it's a really because it's a mystery novel at its core, and it's a really well written mystery novel.
And not the graphic novel, the actual book.
Did they do a graphic novel of it?
I'd be very intrigued by this.
I would be very intrigued by this, but I really enjoyed the book very, very
At least
much.
I believe there was one. I think that's what it was.
So Gal Gadot, as we talked about recently, was doing a movie about the life of Hedy Lamarr. That is not going to go to Showtime now.
Really
Apple TV Plus has staked its claim on this film,
interesting.
which is actually a mini series.
Well,
That will be going to Apple TV Plus.
From what I know of the real person, I think that's going to be awesome.
And that's the second time in 2 weeks that they've kind of gotten in and swiped something out from underneath somebody. As we talked about at least last week, if not the week before, the Tom Hanks vehicle Greyhound will be going to Apple TV Plus as well.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is actually a graphic novel series.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I am intrigued by that. Let's get into one of the things that I'm going to start doing now, especially when it comes to TV, is when we talk about certain networks, we're going to do it alphabetically.
Interesting.
So I think that's going to help us
That'll be
streamline
an
a little
easy
bit
way
more,
to organize,
and we're not
yeah.
as all over the map as we tend to be on this show. So when I start, you'll know where we are based on the first letter of the network we're talking about.
Jen, does an ampersand come before B, or are we doing ABC first? A&E or ABC?
That would be A&E because symbols come before letters.
That's what I was verifying.
And then there's me who doesn't really have the channels anymore. So
it's
I'll just,
symbols, then numbers, then letters because I go in the order of a keyboard. That's how I do it.
Okay.
Even though in my iTunes, the numbers come at the end, which is weird.
That's why I'm used
Yeah.
to the... Yeah.
So Disney Plus, for those of you that are video game fans, and Alex, I don't know how you feel about this particular video game, but they are going to be doing a series of Kingdom Hearts.
I have never gotten into it, but I know many people who are huge fans of the series.
That Keyblade is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, especially when people make the scale models of them and bring them to conventions.
Yes, I believe this is a very, very good niche for them to strike with any kind of shows because there is going to be a wide audience, especially when you think about it involving Disney.
Other Disney Plus news, they've renewed Diary of a Future President for Season 2. It's for the kids with the frozen hair.
Too many jokes that would go into itself.
Have you heard this quandary that The Mandalorian finds itself in?
Quandary? No.
Pedro Pascal cannot be nominated for a Golden Globe.
Is it because he's not on screen enough?
Here's the deal. So he was only on screen for 20 seconds of episode 8.
Which I still think should have been 20 seconds less.
No, I get what they were trying to do there.
Oh, I get it.
So
too,
because of that, and because of the helmet, they're saying that voice-only performances are not eligible in any acting category. And it also was not him under the helmet because at the time he was rehearsing, he was in Broadway rehearsals for King Lear.
Well, and if you get to this part of this sensational Disney gallery,
Yes.
it's actually 3 separate people.
Well, you know who the main one was?
What do you mean by the main one? Because Pedro Pascal would qualify as the main one?
No, who was the main person in the suit?
Oh, I forget his name. Please
Please forget his last name.
Just please go.
First name is Brendan, grandson of John Wayne. Yes, sir. That is John Wayne's grandson that does most of the work in the costume.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Huh.
I read that this week and went, Well, my problem is I can't hear John Wayne now and not hear Shanghai Noon. Your grandfather's name is John Wei? No, John Wei.
Mm-hmm.
We love Jackie Chan.
Yes.
remind me to tell you my John Wayne story someday.
Okay. So tonight, by the way, speaking of things, and we'll get there, you'll figure out where the connection came from. I know my brain tends to be very random. But tonight is part 2 of the Lance Armstrong 30 for 30. But where I'm going with this is next week. I'm very excited because next week's 30 for 30 is the Bruce Lee. It's called Be Water. Oh, I'm so excited.
That one's been in the can for a while.
I know.
Too,
Well, I think that one was actually on ESPN Plus exclusive for a long time.
which, let's be honest, that's good bait.
Yeah, but given where everything's going and the fact that This is how I don't know, Jen Rome, if you saw this on Friday night, but you know how bad programming is getting in the days of COVID-19 when primetime Friday night ESPN, ladies and gentlemen, please tune in for Cool Runnings.
I still maintain
That was on the ESPN primetime Friday night.
I still maintain I love Cool Runnings.
I love Cool Runnings. What, like Sleds and Ice and Snow? I love that movie. But is it Friday night primetime ESPN viewing?
In 2020, it is.
Fair.
And what's scary is there's actually more people at home watching TV than they normally have that they're trying to capture the audience of.
My Blu-ray player is begging for mercy right now.
Yeah, they pretty much have a captive audience, and this is what we're getting.
That's what we got.
Well, it's what they can do. I'm willing to give them a pass on this, especially because I'm pretty sure I quote Cool Runnings as much as any other movie on the planet.
Let's get into Fox. FX has renewed Better Things for another season, but the bigger news for FX this week, congratulations to the cast and crew of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, because when they start season 15, they will officially be the longest running live action comedy series in the history of ever, beating out
That's
Ozzie and
crazy.
Harriet. Think about how long that record's been around.
Yeah.
They beat out the adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. So congratulations to them. I haven't watched it in a few seasons, but
It's one of those I want to jump in with both feet. I've watched the pilot, but it's...
the last time I watched it, it was just getting so far out there that I was just like,
Well, the problem is this is on that list with The Wire and Deadwood of, oh, you have to watch this. And it's like, I wish I had time right now.
Put a pin in that because we're going to come back to that later.
I know we are.
NBC doing something very interesting with their Sunday morning show, Meet the Press, if you guys have ever watched that. They are going to, for 5 weeks, they are going to be booking college journalism students to be the panel
Really?
on Meet the Press.
I dig that.
I'm on board with this.
Yeah,
I think
that's
this is
great.
great. You're getting fresh faces and fresh voices in there. They're getting the experience, which I'm sure they can use for credit. So I'm going to be interested to see how this experiment works out for them. I know this next thing, you and Don, big fans. We actually have Tom Ellis now signed for season 6 of Lucifer on Netflix. It is ready to go.
With an option for 7.
So,
Yeah.
congratulations to that guy.
Well, if you've ever watched the show, that dude has more than earned it. Just give him all the monies.
I don't know,
He's pretty.
after WrestleMania, give John Cena all the Emmys, but that's just me.
That's fair.
Uh,
No, if you want to see something, go back and watch Lucifer on Netflix. That dude can act circles around
Yeah,
a
you're
million people.
assuming she
I've
has
watched like the first 3 seasons of it. I
Okay,
believe.
well, no. The fourth,
So was
which
it-
was on Netflix itself, where they don't have to hold back. amazing.
I've started it. I just
Okay.
haven't.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, good.
But yeah, he's pretty.
And by the way, Titan Games came back this week. I haven't watched the first episode, but all the reports I'm reading, people were very much enjoying it.
Yes.
I will not watch World Tag League. That's just weird. And Stars is taking...
Isn't it Ultimate Tag?
Whatever it is, I don't know.
I'm intrigued, but
God bless the Watt family. But YouTube had a series called Step Up High Water. And you're not stepping up, it's Step Up, High Water. Stars is going to pick it up.
I'm not familiar,
It's a spinoff of the Step Up movies.
which I didn't care about to start. So I know there's an audience
Jenna
for
Dewan, how you doing? But Stars is going to pick it up, which is kind of weird because you would think normally that would happen the other way around.
it. Yeah, you would think it would
This
originate.
is the dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. That's
Welcome
the
to
world.
2020.
Yeah, this is the world we live in. TV on DVD and Blu-ray this week. If you haven't seen this, and we'll talk about where it is later in the show, but if you don't have it and you want to pick up the Blu-rays, I will not blame you. The HBO Watchmen limited series hits Blu-ray this week.
I have to pick back up. I know I checked out too early.
Now, granted, this is the series that almost stripped me of my title, but
And you're welcome for waking you up.
I know you didn't wake me up. I
Let me
woke up
rephrase.
as you walked into my sanctum.
Bring you out of your starting to pass out.
Woo! It was very close. Very, very close. And that's really, I mean, there's not a whole lot of DVD and Blu-ray new releases this week in general. It's very, very strange. And we only have one music headline this week.
Interesting.
And that is at the
The VMAs.
Easy for me to say.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
MTV, I keep forgetting it's not a touchscreen. MTV is considering holding the VMAs live still at the Barclays. August
That's
30th.
a venue for that.
August 30th.
Well, it might be far enough out.
I mean, they are looking at the possibility of an empty arena.
At that point, still, maybe I'm the bad guy or something with this. I know they usually do a production with all of this, but if you're going to do it with an empty arena, just bring it to like a more local stage.
Here's what they should do. And I saw this the other day. We're not going to talk about what a certain South Korean soccer stadium did that got them fined. But I saw a Korean baseball stadium where they had fans send in pictures of themselves from like the waist up, and they turned those into cutouts, and they filled all this. How awesome would that be? You're watching the VMAs, and there you are at the same time.
But you have to have like one live person in the middle, and it's like, where's Waldo?
and just make sure that person's like selling it, like,
Yeah.
just have them having fake conversations with the cardboard cutouts around them.
I like that.
But music new releases this week. Dion is back with Blues with Friends. That guy's still getting it done, brother.
Yep.
Run the Jewels. We talked about them a couple of weeks ago. RJT4 releases, and All Things Being Equal is the name of the album. And I did this because of the name of the band, and you can't say this name of the band any other way than the way I'm about to say it. This is actually the name of the band. Sonic Boom. That's the name of the band. You have to say it that way. There's no other way to say it.
I wouldn't be able to do it that justice.
It's a Street Fighter reference. That's actually
Yes.
a move in Street Fighter,
Yes.
and that's the way the guy says it. Although it's not my favorite one.
That would be, but the Sonic Boom would be from Guile.
My favorite.
Immortalized by
my
Jean
favorite
Claude
beat-
Van Damme.
It's also along the lines of Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
Wait,
that MK11 looks amazing. I'm just gonna say it. But my favorite Street Fighter sound effect, because it sounds like something we can say on this show, is whoosh. Sounds like I stepped on a Lego. I always played with Blanca when I played Street Fighter
As did I.
because I like the whole shocking thing.
Yeah. Plus being a monster among men.
Speaking, I know we're off on a tangent, but I saw a shirt. I think it was on T Fury this week. That was Snow White doing the Chun-Li kick, and I was like, "That's amazing."
Excuse me for a minute.
Let's get into movie talk, because movie talk is going to take up most of this week's show because we've got an hour to go. The Telluride Film Festival is going to happen.
That's a beautiful location too.
But here's the thing. They're adding an extra day on the front end.
Because?
So they can space out the screenings more. They're calling it
That makes
they're
sense.
calling it a safety day. So that way people can from our first ROH show.
where somebody in this room uppercutted my beer like it was a dragon punch.
And it wasn't me.
It was Marty. What did you expect to happen?
To stay dry for one?
You know what? And let's say this before we move on. If we're going to talk about Marty, if you go to prowrestlingtees.com/the Cheap Podcast to get t-shirts, there is a video on their website of Marty unboxing their current wrestling crate.
Is his puppy with him?
I'm sure it's at his house. He's got a
He has
beautiful
a name.
Dude, that belt trophy case that he has in the
Yes.
background is gorgeous.
There's background.
Yes, there is.
I'm sorry. When
Wins-
he's there, I kind of don't. I mean, if it's not him or the dog, it's
Winston.
yes, Winston.
And as we know, General has
goodest
gotten a hug
villain.
from Marty's girl.
I do.
Okay.
I have. Yeah.
So it's gonna be Labor Day weekend, and it's gonna go Thursday to Sunday instead of Friday to Sunday. So Telluride really trying to take some steps to make it work. This one and Versailles, I think, are the two that are still on the schedule currently.
To confirm, Versailles not for sale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they've already been sold.
No. It's not a touchscreen. No, but isn't Versailles how they say it in South Texas?
I live in South Texas, I can tell you. Yeah. But I'll be interested to see how these two go. Now, another interesting story comes out this week. As we know, we are preparing for what we assume will be the spring of next year, when we will get the Snyder cut of Justice League broken into 6 parts. David Ayer now saying he wants to do the same thing with Suicide Squad.
I did hear about that. I'm intrigued.
To me, this wasn't a terrible film. It just wasn't good.
That is fair. But what I would be more interested in is supposedly we had over an hour of footage of just Jared Leto that was cut that would have made it make more sense.
I still would have done so much with that story.
Well, but you are also a far more informed person than who got hired to do it.
Speaking of DC movies, we found out this week as well, Henry Cavill returning as Superman, but not for a Superman film. He is going to be making appearances in other DC movies, and we already know the first one. They are going back and putting him into Shazam.
So they're going to bring it out? Uh-huh. You know, I was going to make the joke of saying it was too late, but here we are.
That's what we're doing. And I'm fully on board with this.
That kid sold that bit so well.
Let me tell you, Shazam is one of the most underrated superhero movies of the last 10 years.
I hate that I had the ending spoiled for me.
Wasn't me?
I know it wasn't you. But at the same time, still... But what I'm saying is, for as much as I hate when things are spoiled for me, the fact that I knew the surprise...
Yeah.
Mini spoiler surprise at the end, I still love the movie.
Anytime Zach Levi wants to do this show, he is more than welcome to come on in any way,
and
shape,
I
or form.
promise I won't call him Chuck.
One of the great shows of the last 15 years.
Extremely talented.
Yvonne Strahovski, how you doing?
Looks like NASCAR finished.
Okay, do we have a winner?
Brad Keselowski.
Oh, very nice. Congratulations, Brad Keselowski. You get
followed
points.
by Bowyer, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Jones.
Okay, fair enough. The director
I figured you'd want to say Eric Jones the way you do.
Eric Jones?
There you go.
Director of Doctor Strange, Scott Derrickson, has announced he will be doing the Labyrinth sequel. I don't know how I feel about this.
I don't know how I feel about the Labyrinth sequel alone. I don't need this
layer.
Right,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I just... That movie is so wonderful on its own, and it's been so long. Jennifer Connelly, how you doing? I don't know that I need this.
You know what's really shocking to me is how many movies, and I know I'm pivoting on a tangent here, how many movies you go back and go, oh, wait, that's Jennifer Connelly. Like a million times through the 90s.
You know who doesn't do that? Me.
I do.
One of her most underrated films, in my opinion, is a movie called Career Opportunities with Frank Whaley.
That was a good film.
I do.
You know that one of my favorite scenes in the entire film isn't even in the film. It's in the trailer.
I hate when they do that.
At the end of the trailer, she looks at him and she says, if I was sweating, would you touch me? And he looks at her and he goes, I would touch you if you were covered in spiders.
Yeah.
That just made me giggle. Speaking of movies from the 80s and 90s, this Saturday, I'll be taping another episode of Matinee Heroes with friend of the show, Craig Price.
Awesome.
Don't want to say what the movie is yet, but let's just say it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, I think I know which one this is.
I told you yesterday.
Not yesterday.
Oh. But let's just say it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, I still have an inkling of what it probably is, and I wasn't told anything.
Without making too much noise so the camera doesn't get on it.
He made a gesture.
Yeah.
And actually the fact that I was able to find the Blu-ray for $5 just made it even better.
MTC?
Yep. Online, by the way.
Oh, very nice. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the movie trading company.
Yes, who has supplied me with my next project. Speaking of which, did I tell you there's a 5th volume?
No, but I'm not surprised.
It's just 21 and 22.
That seems stupid.
Don't understand.
That's when they gave up on it?
Oh, I just wait till 25.
You're asking a certain company to use logic.
That's fair.
We saw Friday. They don't care.
What is this logic you
We'll
refer
talk
to?
off here.
I just meant
no, it
logic.
was bad.
Yeah, she knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Andy Samberg's latest film, Palm Springs, is now going to hit drive-ins and Hulu on July the 10th. So you got that going for you. Which is
Did you
nice.
see a weird pivot, though, with drive-ins? Did you see the pivot about what arenas may start doing?
Kind of like
with
Joe
concerts?
Robbie Stadium's doing right now. Oh, some drive-ins have already scheduled because Toby Mac and Newsboys have already said they're doing a drive-in tour.
Okay. Yeah, no. This is apparently starting to come together and have serious legs for doing it in the parking lot and having people parked.
I love what Joe Robbie's doing.
And yes, it's still Joe Robbie.
Where you can drive in, they're doing a drive-in, but they're showing classic Dolphins games on the big screens, which I'm very excited about, even though I'm 1,200 miles away.
Yeah.
But, no, I love this idea. I'm fully on board with this idea. I fully endorse this. Jen Rome, may have to have you give me my laptop here in a minute because the battery's running low.
Well, while you're handling that, hey, Jay, remind me to get with you about...
Talk, Jay Gillespie.
Remind me to get with you after the show to lay down a bit of a gauntlet with the Hazard Play guys.
Oh, all right, we'll do.
Because some certain things have come up, and I want to get some information.
Vocal show cross promotion.
Hey, we'll set that
Hey,
up.
wait, no, Rob, you're supposed to do that when we're recording the drops.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll record that this week. I don't see. This is where it gets kind of weird because I have to.
One's a touchscreen and one's not.
Well,
oh,
plus
no.
I've got the two.
It's
right
on
next,
hard mode.
I've got like the things because it's blocking the things and the things.
Kids with the clothes and the hair. What?
Yes. News for Jen Rome that she will be very excited about. Do you remember the name Lee Whannell? Directed one of your favorite films of year before last.
Yes.
Director of Upgrade.
Yes.
There will be a sequel. But it will not be a sequel. It will be a sequel series from NBC Universal and Blumhouse Television.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So I am assuming that this is going to go to Peacock.
For the record, I've never heard it pronounced Whannell. But for
Is it Whannell? Is it, I don't know.
I believe it's Whannell. But for other people, the big thing is that he was the mind behind the original Saw
Yep.
and got that started.
And
as well.
when
But
we-
Upgrade is fantastic.
And we went to the Upgrade screening. He was there.
And I'm
Did a
not.
Q&A.
I'm so mad I wasn't there now.
Yeah, I'm not a Saw type fan. That's not my genre. But I really, really liked Upgrade, which apparently surprised a lot of people. But
And it's going to take place.
It's an amazing movie.
It's going to take place a few years after the film.
Ooh.
With how things have progressed since the events of the film. And if you haven't seen
Oh.
Upgrade, if you have not seen Upgrade,
You're missing out.
this is one. Go find it. This would definitely be worth a purchase if you can't get it streaming somewhere, because this movie, the way they shot it, the way the story unfolds, it's really well. This is a film that even if it was a half an hour longer, I'd have been cool with, because I think there's a lot they could have done even within that
To
story.
tell you the truth, this is one of those rare occasions that when the movie ended, I was like, but more.
If you're a fan of Westworld, you would like this because it will make more sense.
That's true.
I'm still trying to figure out season 3. Like,
But no, seriously, go watch Upgrade. Go watch Upgrade. Go watch
so
Upgrade.
good, so good.
I firmly, yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites.
We are getting a sequel to Sonic the
Really?
Hedgehog. Yeah, no, she loves that movie. She was at the screening.
Well,
with
no,
me.
I didn't expect the all-time favorite. I loved the movie.
Oh, I mean, if you had seen her reactions after the screening, I mean, she was rip roaring red. She wanted them to fire that bad boy up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not common for me to want to sit back there, but it's up there with my original Sabrina, Audrey Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart. It's like up there in the ranks of favorite Jen movies.
We are getting a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog as well.
Still haven't seen the first one, but I have yet to hear somebody say anything bad
You
about
and me
it.
both. It's fascinating. But let me tell you this: I don't know if you got this email yesterday, because I like to eat. I got an email from Arby's. Arby's.
I'm not on their mailing list somehow.
Arby's is doing a series of activity packs you can get on their website.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the activities this week is a pattern you can cut out and make your own little 3D Sonic figure that's about this big.
Oh, wow.
And they're doing one character every week. Shout out to Arby's if you want to sponsor the show. Love my beef and cheddar.
Have you heard anything about the rumored casting for the second Sonic movie?
I have not.
That they will allegedly be bringing in Knuckles, and who is your lead choice for that?
I have no idea.
If you heard the name Knuckles, and did you play the games?
I know
or
who
if-
Knuckles is.
So the more of a muscle-bound Sonic style. Who would you think of in?
Dwayne Johnson.
Yes,
I win.
that's supposedly your rumored casting for Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's not a touchscreen.
No, I'm not using the touchscreen.
I can't tell. I'm on the other side where I don't get the toys.
I'm sorry. I just got a text message
Yeah,
from a friend of mine.
but yeah, Dwayne Johnson added as Knuckles.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Dwayne's like becoming the muscle version of Nathan Fillion. He just wants to be in everything geek related.
Well, and I don't think it's even that. I think it's gotten to the point where he's doing so many different things, and he no longer has to worry about money because we know the story behind $7 Promotions.
Mm-hmm.
But he's actually gotten to that point where, am I going to have fun with this? Sure, let's make Jumanji 47, no matter how bad it is.
And then he looks at it and goes, ooh, still Dwayne Johnson. I'm good.
Yeah,
You know, it doesn't suck to be me. That's-
not at all.
that should be the name of his next book. It doesn't suck to be me. Let's see. So make sure to go to Arby's website, download the activity pack for the kids. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the crossover in that regard between our two shows. Did you see about Ringmaster?
Yeah, I didn't really want to talk about it because it's
Okay.
so far off.
Just
It's
checking.
2022, and it's got to get done first. Just real quick, for those that don't know, there's being a Vince McMahon biography written. That's what Ringmaster's called.
Well, there's 2 of them.
Oh, I only heard about that.
There is competing, and they're apparently right now you're trying. No. I'm very intrigued by this. Your official authorized biography and an unauthorized talking from other people. I am very intrigued by this concept.
Is one of them going to be called "That's Good"?
Perhaps.
Okay.
I doubt it, but
and what could be the strangest headline from this week? We're getting a new Wolfman.
I thought this was dead.
You haven't heard who's playing the Wolfman? Jen Rome, have you heard who is playing the Wolfman? I have been in this man's presence.
I'm
last
not even
year.
sure which Wolfman we're talking about.
Universal, the Wolfman.
Oh,
the
no.
Wolfman.
Well, I mean, there's also, the radio DJ.
All right, going. Hey, everybody. Welcome to American Graffiti, baby.
There's several different
My Wolfman Jack is dead
yes,
on.
Your Wolfman Jack is decent. I'll give you decent.
I give you a hint. I was in his presence a little over a year ago at a screening.
I'm going to make him hate me for this because he's doing that thing where he's fishing. Don Ford?
Incorrect. But an excellent guess. He is very hairy.
And he may be more hairy if the Giants come through.
I don't
Jen
want
Rome.
to know.
Oh, no.
No.
I don't know if she knows about this.
So the bet has been laid down for this year.
The gauntlet.
Yes, she
Steelers play Giants in week 1.
Did you
on
remember
Monday.
I said
If
I
Don,
asked if Faith had signed off on this.
she has officially.
Okay.
We got that on the Cheap Podcast today. I know you were on your way in,
Yeah.
so you missed it.
And I almost broke
But-
Rob at the open of the show.
Yeah. So, but Faith has fully signed off
Okay.
on the beard.
I mean, as long
So-
as she's okay, I'm okay because
Now,
I got her back.
Did
Love
Don,
you, Faith.
Did Don get Faith a Cheap Podcast T-shirt? No, he didn't, and you should chastise him for that.
Yes.
But
Technically, he didn't get himself one. He got
Set-
El Libro y la
set-
Chaqueta.
set to play the Wolfman, one Ryan Gosling.
I did hear about this.
I don't see that.
I mean, he really only has to do half of it.
That's also fair.
And if Michael J. Fox can do it, and Justin Bateman can do it, didn't he do the sequel?
Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
It's Justine and Jason. I get that. There's an amalgam of that.
Yes, he did Teen Wolf 2.
Oh, yes.
Well,
Antonio Banderas, I thought did a great job. Didn't he do that?
no, that was Benicio del Toro.
Oh, I get them confused.
You're not sounding good on this whole segment right
No,
now.
I'm not doing well with names.
You're 0 for 2.
But I do. My Antonio Banderas comes from Chris Kattan. Did you ever see that episode of SNL?
I thought you were going to do a commercial with a B.
No, where he goes. he had a sketch called the Antonio Banderas, and it's "Welcome to the how do you say, yes, show." And that's the entire thing was on the screen.
Yes.
And Jennifer Love Hewitt was the guest host.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, he had a couple of skits. I was thinking that he did
the
that
one with her about destroyed me because he looks at a certain part of her and says, "These things, what are their names?" And she starts to talk and goes, "Shh, do not disturb them. They're sitting there like two cute little boobily things." There's just something about Chris Kattan playing Antonio Banderas that it's so far out there it actually works.
Yeah. Well, that's half of Chris Kattan's characters.
That's for him playing the Cro-Magnon man with The Rock.
Yes.
One of my more favorite moments as well. If I were to tell you about the 40th anniversary of a film getting a new documentary narrated by the writer, director, star of said film, would you be interested in?
Depends on the film.
Possibly because that'd be close to my childhood.
What if I told you it was called 40 Years of Rocky, the birth of a classic?
Question. Which writer, director are we talking about?
Only one person wrote and directed that film. The star of it.
The first one was not directed by Sylvester
He
Stallone.
wrote it. I know he wrote it.
He wrote it.
Okay.
He did not direct the
Okay.
first one. He directed 2 through 5.
Okay, that's where my confusion comes in. But
Yes.
Stallone's going to narrate.
Okay. Yes, I'm in.
It's going to be available on demand next Tuesday.
Still one of the saddest stories I've ever heard from a budding star is from Stallone around that movie.
I'm looking forward to this.
Well, you've heard the story about why Buttkiss was so excited to see him while they were filming, correct?
I have not.
That's his dog that he had to sell to someone else to get the money for the movie. So the dog getting excited is because it hadn't seen him in a while.
Oh, so nice.
It hurts my heart at the same time because, and to the credit, the person who bought the dog did not want to sell him back just in case it wound up with another situation like this. Stallone had to prove income, essentially.
Fair enough.
And this was back in the 70s.
Only one DVD and Blu-ray new release this week of Consequence, and it is a film that I saw the trailer for on my Apple Trailers app, and I was interested but not interested enough to care about it theatrically. Robert the Bruce.
I have so many questions about this movie. Number one, is it a sequel?
It's its own thing.
But you understand what I'm talking about, because it's Angus McFadden playing Robert the Bruce again after, okay, I'm going to say it. By far and away, Angus McFadden's the most successful movie he's ever been in is Braveheart, where he played Robert the Bruce. And now you have Robert the Bruce, and it picks up after that kind of.
My one line from Braveheart that I'll quote.
And it's not freedom?
It's not freedom. When he just looks at it and goes, I love you. Like, there's just, it's so just deadpan.
I feel like you have to do that full part, though. It's I love you. Always have.
But just the way that delivery and the delivery from Grosse Point Blank of Minnie Driver, you can't come in. You know?
I love Minnie Driver so much.
I love that film.
Yes.
Grosse Point Blank, very underrated. Just, they're driving and Jeremy Piven just, 10 years, man! That and the interaction between him and Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
So is there dental in this? We can do dental. Just love that movie.
Well, and her, with the gasoline in the office and the closing.
Minnie Driver, how you doing? My wife watched that other show she was on, the Speechless, that was on ABC.
I heard very good things.
She very
about
much
that show,
enjoyed it.
But with Robert the Bruce, I really want to know if Angus McFadden got this and he was like, look, it's a sequel to Braveheart, and somebody just wrote a check.
Yeah.
Somewhere Mel Gibson is going, why did I get something for this?
You know, I finished all the Mad Max movies as of last night. I watched Thunderdome last night.
You have to say it in your Tina Turner voice.
Did you know that movie was originally not a Mad Max film?
Yes.
That it was written as a pseudo Lord of the Flies movie?
Yes.
And then
Who run Bartertown?
the guy that created it was
Romero.
No, not George Romero. George.
I always screw that up.
Man, I am not doing well today.
I'm working on it. Continue. I'll circle back.
It was him that was talking to the guy that wrote the script, and he goes, but what if the guy that found him was Mad Max? And that's what turned it into a Mad Max.
George Miller.
And that's what turned it into a Mad Max film. Mm-hmm. And then to see that the guy that steals the camels in the beginning was the guy that he ended up teaming up with in Mad Max 2.
The pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was still a pilot of a different plane. Mm-hmm. And apparently I also read that the kid that played his kid is like a very popular lighting expert and DJ now.
Really?
And he does a remix of We Don't Need Another Hero.
Well, did you ever hear the theory, and I know it's far removed for you from Fury Road, the theory about Fury Road and Tom Hardy's character?
Go ahead.
That he is the feral kid that takes on the name because it's
Mad Max 2. The feral kid's Mad Max 2,
but
not
I'm circling back.
Okay.
It's not. I'm not saying that from Thunderdome, but the fact that it's the feral kid who takes on the name because Max Rockatansky is the only name he's ever heard.
Oh, interesting.
And so Tom Hardy's character in Fury Road is actually the feral kid.
God, that movie was so good.
You want to talk about that's one that I am.
I want you to come over and I want you to sit in the hot seat and let me just play the opening 10 minutes from that movie. That opening narration where it comes through the rear speakers in my living room, I was floored, and I really want to see the Chrome version of this. I
feel like that's what we have to do. Is we have to get a hold of the Chrome version and then do that.
I mean, it was that movie was good.
I
apologize. It took me 5 years to watch it.
I love the story of George Miller talking to the production director. That it's like, make the cars awesome or I'll kill you.
Yeah, and he probably would have because
George Miller is insane.
He's insane
in the best of ways.
But I've got one more Star Trek Next Generation movie to go, and that's the one I'm kind of looking forward to because of who the bad guy is in that. a very young man that would later talk like this to Batman. And he's bald in this. Like, he looks pure evil in this.
We alluded to that on air at one point. Because it's Nemesis, right?
Yep.
Yep.
I watched Insurrection yesterday. I liked Insurrection. F. Murray Abraham is F. Murray Abraham, and he will always be F. Murray Abraham, and I'm completely okay with that. But that one was one of the headier films because you get into the discussion of the Prime Directive itself indirectly, no pun intended, because that's more of the philosophical discussion. But after that, then I've got the 3 J.J. Abrams films, and then all my Star Trek movies are done.
Nice.
Like I said, my Blu-ray player's begging
You have
for
been
version.
on a lot of projects.
I finally got to watch Batman Gotham Guy Gaslight this week, which when I gave the Blu-ray back to him, he was like,
I forgot it was mine.
yeah, he forgot it was his. And when he gave it to me, it was still in the shrink wrap.
I literally had it for a day when you went, ooh, and I said, yeah, here, borrow it. That was almost a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago.
You've also got some screener films of mine that I need to get back from you, too.
I believe I gave those back. Okay.
Because I don't have them.
You've got Rocket Man.
Yeah, you do, because I've seen it.
You have my Rocket Man.
Okay. I don't have time.
Welcome to Bartertown.
And you still have my
Does that mean I
shed.
get to ride around on your shoulder?
It's sitting on my Blu-ray rack right now. I can tell you exactly where it is.
You can tell I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because I've mentioned it how many times between then and now?
Yeah.
I know where it is.
So let's get into. I will call this Tech Talk, but there's more than Tech Talk. This is like the segment where I'm putting things that I can't put anywhere else in the show. Disney World and Animal Kingdom are looking to reopen July the 11th, and then Epcot 3 days later.
I still hesitate,
York
but if anybody
looking-
can do it, it's Disney.
New York looking to open tomorrow, although Broadway still saying not till after Labor Day.
I still hesitate because I see so many people being like, yay, back to normal, everything's reopening. And then 3 days later, why is my child sick? And it's like,
Well, I
Be
really,
careful.
I
Be
still,
smart.
I still want to send a shout out to the way our Pluckers experience last week. And Charlotte and I had lunch at Cracker Barrel today, and that was a very positive experience as well. If for no other reason, hash brown casserole.
I'm not going to lie, I'm still a little bit uneasy after the whole Pluckers thing. But like I mentioned off air, I feel like I'm developing some form of agoraphobia, and I wouldn't be surprised if other people are as well.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
We
Well-
just have to take the steps, and we're gonna get there.
I mean, and Keith ended up being sick one day this week.
How's he
ended up,
doing?
He ended up having a fever, so he called out. But then, he had a fever, so he couldn't go into work. He called
Right.
out, and then
You try to train one of the dogs to shove a stick in his nose so he can get the test done.
he really, the last 2 evenings, he's gone out and met up with a friend, and I'm not sure who all he's around and if he's keeping a safe distance or not, because one of his Facebook posts sounds like he may or may not have hooked up with somebody, and I do mean that in the
Oh dear.
adulty versions.
Ladies.
And that just, and he doesn't understand why I'm concerned about that.
But-
I realize he doesn't really have an income without this, and he wants to get on with his life, and he's tired of this, but at the same time, we don't have things in place for life to continue yet.
Indeed. But one good news from Disney this week. They are doing a Galaxy's Edge VR game that will expand the theme park storyline.
Really? Mm-hmm. You know, this would be one of those times where I wish I knew somebody to go do Galaxy's Edge while nobody else could be there.
Yeah, no kidding. I did talk to my niece today who worked there earlier this year. And I asked her, is there a plan? Because she was part of a college program. She said she would do it on a seasonal basis because she's pursuing other things, but it was kind of a college experience. And
Yeah.
she said when you're there on the college program, the pay structure is different.
Because there's a credit aspect as well.
Well, but because part of it too was like she ended up working more hours than the seasonal people, and the seasonal people were making more money than she was.
yeah.
So, but I had a great conversation with her and her family today.
Good.
Miss them very, very much. Launch America happened yesterday. Yesterday was, given all of the chaos,
What was the original date supposed to be?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. Thank you.
and there was rain because Florida.
Well, I knew it was weather related why it was delayed.
I was going back and forth on whether I was going to watch the launch. First of all, I love that dragon logo. Big fan. And I was going back and forth. Am I going to watch this thing? Am I not going to watch this thing? And friend of the show, Devin Pike, ended up streaming it on his Twitch channel. So I was like, you know what? I've been playing a lot of Universal Remote online, hanging out with people. A lot of my friends are out there. This was probably 3 hours or so, right at 3 hours before the launch actually happened. Spoiler alert. So I was like, let me check into Twitch. And we had the best time watching this. And since Devin was streaming it, he was doing it through his board. So I convinced him at the 5-minute mark to fire up a little Europe. And then asked, where's Will Arnett when you need him? And then since I had just watched First
You know what the worst part is? I'm mad at you because I didn't think of that.
Well, and then having watched First Contact as recently as I have, I got him to play Magic Carpet Ride as soon as it took off. Alex and I both being Florida kids, watching launches was kind of part of the deal. More so for me than Alex because there is a significant difference in age. We've talked about this on the show a million times. As the countdown got closer, when we were inside an hour, and shout out to NASA TV, who did an amazing job with their coverage. As we got to an hour, I started to get giddy.
Yeah, and you and I had opposite reactions for obvious reasons.
And interacting with everybody in the chat room and, cracking jokes of every time somebody calls them Bob and Doug, I giggle, and I always will.
I did giggle at that.
But then, they're just sitting there waiting, and I'm like, anybody else just want one of them just to start, there comes a time when we heed a certain call. Just start doing something in the cockpit, and then looking at the design of the cockpit where it's just all touch screens, and it's just like somebody put up the comparison of this thing versus what the shuttle looked like 20 years ago. And for 3 hours, the world was able to go away from me. And then seeing this thing go up and watching the pieces of it separate and, finding out, okay, so when do they dock with the International Space Station? And they're going to be there for 120 days. And they docked this morning successfully. I got the notification during church. I was just so happy. And I heard somebody explain it because a lot of people are like, yeah, but it was Elon Musk and it wasn't NASA. And I'm like, well, really, apparently the agreement here is this gives NASA the opportunity to work on more projects about space exploration itself. And Elon Musk and his people get the opportunity to work on the logistics of getting things to those things. And I think we're all going to do it again in 120 days when they come back. And I really enjoyed that yesterday. First time in 9 years that Americans have gone into space from American soil. So shout out to everybody that had that coverage yesterday. Great job. Very much enjoyed that. On the downside this week, if you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I was wearing a shirt that I got. It was a charity shirt from the summer camp I worked at in college, the Warren Willis Youth Camp. That on all that money from the T-shirts went to camper scholarships. This week, they announced that they will not be having any sessions this summer. None.
But they're not totally shut down.
It's just for this year.
Okay.
So
you can look at it with some positivity, saying that there's a tomorrow, basically.
And so I want to send a shout out to the people that were supposed to be on staff this year, because that 8 weeks, I feel like someday I could write a book about that 8 weeks alone, because of the journey that I went on. And then I came home for a week and then I was off to college. I want to send all my thoughts out to the people that were gearing up to go to camp and looking forward to their experience this summer. I was really, really bummed, but they're canceling for the right reasons. So shout out to the Florida Conference of the United Methodist Church and the Warren Willis Youth Camp. I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys, having people out there again soon. All right, so let's talk about the big tech story of the week. We said Wednesday was going to be the day, and Wednesday was the day. HBO Max is officially a thing. I have downloaded it to my Apple TV. I have downloaded it to my iPhone. Not currently available for Amazon Fire or for Roku. Oh. They are still working out the deal.
And what was really surprising to me was there's a lot more material on this app than we thought.
Well, let's get there. Understand that there's a difference between a network that carries a show and a company that owns that show. Because all of Young Sheldon is there. And even though that's a CBS show, it's owned by Warner Brothers, who owns HBO. So that's there. I've been fiddling with it a little bit over the last few days. I was able to watch both parts of the Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling, which I've been waiting to watch for 2 years, and I just never got around to it because combined it's 4.5 hours long. It is phenomenal. Shout out to Judd Apatow and the amazing job he did on that documentary. If you are a fan, a student of stand-up comedy, or just a fan of Gary Shandling, I strongly recommend it. I don't know that you'll learn anything that you didn't know before, but you will learn the stories behind certain things. Some of the ways that he would write jokes. And one of my favorite jokes, and I know you'll identify with this, he talks about adopting a dog. Mm-hmm. And he said, I waited until the dog was 6 to tell her she was adopted, and then she immediately ran away to find her real parents. as a dog father who has adopted 2 dogs yourself. Yes. Just the thought process he went through, and how when he went back to do the DVD extras for Larry Sanders, one of them is he walked through Central Park talking to Jerry Seinfeld. And that's what gave Seinfeld the idea to do Comedians in Cars Going to Get Coffee.
Well, and it's one of those, just based on the time frame, it caught me off guard that his name wasn't actually Larry Sanders.
Yeah. And you know what? I never watched the Larry Sanders Show because I watched It's Gary Shandling Show. And I love that show so much that I wasn't sure how I would feel about Larry Sanders Show. And I'm still on the fence. I might go back and watch it because I'm pretty sure it's on there. It's interesting to see how the thing works, because at the bottom of the app, there are hubs for their other properties like TCM, Turner Classic Movies, Cartoon Network, Boomerang. DC has a hub where Doom Patrol Season 1 currently is. So I can get caught up on Doom Patrol because...
And I have confirmed it's actually there. It's not one of those just holding places.
Yeah, it's just not one of those, hey, you have to have DC Universe to have this. I am interested to see how DC Universe is affected by this. There's no CW stuff at all.
I want to say, are you surprised? But I think that has a lot more to do with the deal they have with Netflix.
And I think that's a lot of it.
And I think once Netflix deal runs out, then you're going to see a shift to HBO Max.
And a lot of people are complaining about the lack of content, but you have to remember they have a lot of deals with other sources.
How can you complain about the lack of content? There's a ton.
Well, let me give you...
Wait. Let me try this. I have heard people complain, not realizing they think that first page is everything.
Is all of it.
It is not all of it. You have to go to the browse section, and then there is a flood of movies.
The documentary section alone for HBO is stout.
Yes.
And in that documentary section, they also have all of the decade series that CNN did. Mm-hmm. The 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Right. But what I'm saying is at that first glance, maybe this is a design flaw or something you want to call with it, but there's nothing that calls to the fact that there's other areas.
To me, the hub should be at the top of the screen versus at the bottom of the screen.
Yes.
I went to the Looney Tunes section and was able to watch, because I needed a palate cleanser. Mm-hmm. So I watched the Daffy Duck Robin Hood.
Oh.
Zoinks and away, thunk. And it's in 4:3. It's remastered. It looks and sounds great. Just watching Porky as Friar Tuck just giggling the entire time. it gave me joy. But there is a glaring omission in the Looney Tunes section. Because there is no place where I can hear the following. Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. What's Opera Doc?
See, that was really great. That was a great one, and he's not going to... Yeah.
What's Opera Doc is not there. And What's Opera Doc is my favorite cartoon short of the history of ever. But I have it on Blu-ray, which, I've got it. And I've also got it in my phone because I have the Bugs Bunny on Broadway CD. Mm-hmm. But I need it on HBO Max. Also not there. No Animaniacs, no Tiny Toons, no Freakazoid. And I know there was supposed to be an Animaniacs revival on Netflix, but I don't think it's there currently, even the old stuff. And nothing, the biggest omission to me is the lack of Batman the Animated Series. There's no Batman, there's none of the Bruce Timm Paul Dini stuff in there. There's no Justice League, there's no Batman Superman Adventures, there's no Superman, and I don't think those are on Netflix either.
See, and for me, thinking of it more like how this falls into tech, the biggest surprise for me was you have Netflix that does 4K. You have Amazon Prime that does 4K. You have every streaming service that does 4K. HBO Max doesn't.
It doesn't surprise me at this point.
It surprises me because of where the technology has gone, but they have said that it is coming eventually. They haven't even said soon, because I know one of the big things, and I really, really wanted to do this because I want to say, quick math, at least 50% of Game of Thrones that I loved, I want to see that in a clearer picture. I want to see that. I want to see the details that were in there, because I know how much went into that, but it's not there. And there's other stuff like with, Doom Patrol, with different movies, different series. I wanted to see, and that's part of the reason I didn't start Deadwood when I found it, was I want to see it
Deadwood
upscaled.
And the movie and Watchmen are all there.
Right, they're there, but it's...
2 movies that surprised me are there.
What's that?
Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. I don't think Spectre or Skyfall were there. But the fact that there were 2 Bond movies in there, I was surprised because of the nightmare that is who owns what when it comes to that.
Yeah, and with so much crossover nowadays, especially with more modern pieces, is the fact of we talked about this with The Last Dance, and musically, well, this person has some rights to it, this group has some rights to it, this company has rights to it, and everybody has to agree or it's a no-go.
I'm interested in where to see where it's going, because there was more content on there Saturday night than there was it last night? No, there's more content Friday night than there was Thursday night.
Well, it's one of the smart things they've done on the back end, and it hasn't been very advertised, is the fact that they're doing the staggered rollout. And it's the aspect of, if we throw everything at once and it crashes, then it crashes.
Right.
And it's one of my favorite, and I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on Hideo, I believe it Nakajima, when he was talking about delaying video games when he was the president of Nintendo.
Okay.
And I have the wrong name, I'm sure of it. But he said a bad game will always be a bad game, but a late game can still be good.
Agreed.
And it's a lot of that theory that HBO Max has taken, where it's like, let's make sure we get this step done. Then we can go to the next step and roll more and more stuff out. So I think omissions are kind of an asterisk at this point versus a finite.
Well, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, just at a first glance, there has been none of the Cinemax stuff that I found yet. Because I'm looking for Black Monday, and I did not see it in there. That's the main one I want to watch right now, because Paul Scheer and Don Cheadle alone. Let's go. But I'm very interested to see where it goes. I think they definitely need to take those hubs and put them at the top of the screen for sure.
Sorry, it was Miyamoto.
That's right. You're right. But I think it's got a lot of potential. I'm looking to see what else gets added. I might watch, tonight after John Oliver, just see what else has been put in there, because I will be watching John Oliver tonight, because he's new episode. Last week was a repeat because of the holiday. Mm-hmm. But I'm really interested to see where this thing goes, because this is a big deal.
Yes,
as the kids like to say, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of documentaries that I was shocked were there, but I'm looking forward to watching because I'm old. I like documentaries now.
I don't think that has to do with age. I think it has to do with where you're at in your life.
That's fair.
And if 2020 has taught us anything, sometimes the real world is crazier than anything you can come up with,
brother. But I've been impressed with what I've seen so far. I'm gonna be interested to see, does HBO Go absorb into this? Will they keep HBO Go separate? Which I don't think there's a reason to, because
right. And we talked about
the
that
same membership overlaps.
It does now. HBO Now and HBO Go were two separate entities. Now HBO Now that updated to HBO Max, in case you're wondering, that has now
unless you
used
have
the
a
same
Roku
one.
or Fire Stick, because it's still
right.
HBO
Then
Now.
Unless you don't have the option.
But there's a lot, especially from an animations. I think that's the biggest gap right now, because I would like to see my Animaniacs in high def, if nothing else.
I have a very strange question.
Sure.
Have you fired up any of the? Well, then again, without Animaniacs, there has been some support for Warner Brothers that have not changed. Let's say some insensitive cartoons in modern phrase, whereas they'll put it on the front saying it was wrong then, it's wrong now, but cutting it out would say it doesn't exist.
It does. Now, when you go to the Looney Tunes hub, it goes all the way back, but you can definitely see where it's like season 1, but it's not, the numbers are not sequential. They jump around.
Okay.
So it's very possible that they don't have those in there. But
but Warner Brothers was adamant about continuing to include them, but with the disclaimer saying
but
to pretend like it didn't exist.
That's what they did with the DVD sets, and it's done by Whoopi Goldberg. She's the one that comes on and says, "Let me explain to you the framework behind this."
I was wondering if that carried over to HBO
I
Max.
don't know. I can't verify that, but I can definitely take a look.
Okay.
I just want What's Opera Doc. That's what I want right now. I was glad to get, because that Daffy Robin Hood is another one of my favorite cartoon shorts. I love that, So there's a lot of the Roadrunner stuff on there. The Sylvester Tweety mysteries are on there.
Oh, I remember those.
So
I would love to see them start doing playlists as well, similar to what we would say.
There currently are categories on the front page.
I see. I haven't gotten into any of the cartoons, but
I'm talking about in general. It's just
but I would love to see the way, like, say, Disney Plus has linked certain episodes that are in the same vein, because, and I don't know why, ever since I was little, one of my favorite ones is always the fourth wall breaking cartoons of the animator just messing with one of the characters, usually Daffy.
Yep.
But
I like the way, especially with like Tiny Toons, especially how they really just destroyed the fourth wall. I'll never forget one of my favorite episodes. Plucky gets kidnapped, and as they come back from break, Babs and Buster and all the guys they're around the table eating donuts and drinking coffee, and Buster's like, "Wait, the duck gets what?
yeah,
Is that with points?"
yeah.
And then they're like, "Guys," he's like, "Oh, they're putting the coffee. Like, Plucky's been kidnapped. We need to save him."
Yes.
Like, it's just.
It's like those jokes where you knew it and the kids missed it, but slightly older.
And I can
hilarity.
tell you, when it comes to Animaniacs, I can tell you the first time that show broke me. And it was a Slappy Squirrel episode where Skippy had watched Bumby. And when Bumby's mom died, he'd just lose it. And so Slappy, being the old school actress that she is, she knew the actress that played Bumby's mom. So she puts Skippy on a plane, and she's going to take him to L.A. so he can meet Bumby's mom, so he'll know that Bumby's mom's not dead. And somebody mentions it, and he just starts crying. And Slappy looks at the camera and says, "Man, Pavlov would love this kid." I was done. I said, I can't, this is amazing. And just that whole, like, your kids can watch this, but there's certain things that they wouldn't catch. That's what keeps the adults involved.
And honestly, for me, there was an episode of Animaniacs that, let's just say, one of my parents had to explain something and I didn't understand why it was a joke. That was the first time I can remember seeing one of my parents go, "Oh, yeah."
Dude,
Yay!
their entire episode where they parody Apocalypse Now.
Oh,
Hearts of Twilight.
yes.
With Wacko on the top of the golf cart doing the Tai Chi. And then this is the beginning of our story, the beginning. Like, that show is brilliant. And when they would, like, Tiny Toons would do Baby Plucky, elevator go up, elevator stop.
I hate that.
Oh,
episode.
I love it.
Well, because I distinctly remember going to Coral Square, or not Coral Square Mall.
Coral Springs Mall.
No. It was a different mall that actually had elevators.
The Galleria?
Fashion
Mall?
This was somewhere in Florida, and I can't remember. I think it might have been up towards PSL.
Oh, there was a.
I think it was
Galleria
up,
in Fort
I think it
Lauderdale.
was up towards PSL, possibly even all the way to Orlando. And when that episode had come out, you just had little kids running on and hitting all the buttons, and I was like, "Oh, I hate you."
When he flushed himself in the toilet, I want to flush it again. And that was actually, I believe, Sherry Stoner's son doing the voice when he was that young. And that's just, I need more of that in my life, and I need it on HBO Max.
So, and in case this gives it to you, it was the Disaster Piece Theater, episode 25 of Animaniacs.
I love that series that they did.
Yeah, it was Fingerprints.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
that was the one.
Yes.
And I distinctly remember being like, "Why is that funny?" And my mother just sitting there going, "Hold on, I need to get the entire bottle of vodka."
My other favorite joke in that episode, when Yakko's talking to Slappy, he's like, "See anything out of the ordinary?" And she's like, "Saw Wally Gator slam dance with a Smurf. Is that out of the ordinary enough for you?" Like, just because that whole episode was a parody of Murder on the Orient Express.
See, my mother had an answer for the slam dance, though. She just put on Dirty Dancing and left. She went out. She didn't even smoke at that point. She went out for a pack of cigarettes for about a week.
That show is so great. And I really find myself when people start just saying stupid things, that's just me not going, why?
Yeah.
And then just, okay, I love you, bye-bye. Indian buttons. And the good feathers.
Hug you and squeeze you and love you forever.
That's Elmira.
Yes, sir.
And people don't understand, like, people want to talk about, like, the Pinky and the Brain and Elmira. That all that's a crossover that, to me, should never have happened, but that's a whole... All they did was they just recycled old episodes of Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and threw them together. But that's a whole other thing for it. Because, you know my favorite... I know this is riveting. My favorite Pinky and the Brain... It's called Bubba Bo Bob Brain, where he becomes a country music star.
I remember that one.
And I have waited my entire life, now that I'm taller than I was when I was a kid, for somebody to call me a tall drink of water so I can say, actually, I'm a lab mouse on stilts. Just one time. But the Good Feathers, when they did the parody of West Side Story.
Oh,
Yes.
There's a place on this statue for you. Oh. I love the Good Feathers. Anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here? We almost filled an hour and a half. Look at us doing things.
Look at us. Well, I know we had talked about it, but did we want to mention about the Madden NFL deal?
Oh, please do. That's a story for you.
Okay, so and it was followed in Tech Talk this past week.
Oh, I do have it on the run sheet. I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was somebody else that came up with it, so you just skipped it.
No, it's there.
Jay, I need you to mute his mic. But
I can yell.
that is also true.
Children.
But the NFL and Madden, or in Electronic Arts, EA struck a deal for the next 5 or 6 years. So through
2026, $1.5 billion.
Yeah. And in this time where everybody else is making cutbacks.
Well, when you sent that to me, I was like, I thought EA was dead in the water.
EA has been
I thought
ranking
2K
out.
has like took over the world, and
2K has basically been vacuuming every other sport that they don't have, or that they clearly didn't have rights to. It's one of the things that's been very interesting in negotiations regarding the idea of returning college football, being that's what 2K had. And then everything came up with, well, how do you compensate use of everything else? So they just killed it because 2K at that time did not have the money for the lawyers because they were busy sinking cost into WWE 2K. Dear God, why are we doing this? While EA just sat back and went, you know what? We got Madden. We're good. And they'll make the odd game here or there, but Madden has basically been what funds everything with them. But the idea that a $1.5 billion deal got cut this past week, where minor leaguers by the thousands were losing jobs and everybody else,
here's a guy that just got a check and didn't know it.
Oh, God, I hate Chris Collinsworth, and that was not a good one.
My Madden's not strong.
Yeah. Well, you combined the Chris Collinsworth with John Madden. It was weird.
I'm no Frank Caliendo. Let's just say it.
There's only one Frank Caliendo.
Although I got this one. Got to tell you, man. That's the best Gruden I've got.
I'll give you that one.
Spider Y banana.
Spider 2Y banana. Anyways, but I just found it interesting do you think that this is a smart move or anything, or is this one of those ones that, okay, we did the deal. Could they have kept this out of the news perhaps until things settle down?
Not in this day and age. Nothing gets kept out of the news.
Okay. But, and I know everything that EA does gets funded by Madden. So the idea of $1.5 billion for 6 years isn't huge because they make $1 billion a year on Madden.
That's over 6 years, not for 6 years, right? That's not. You're not getting $1.5 billion per year.
No. This is for the contract for that time frame. Yes.
Okay. So I was like, wait a minute. That's.
But they make that in
a
a year.
Yeah, that's DirecTV numbers at that point.
But I was just curious about it because it's such a large thing that. Actually, do you think that EA might be one of the companies that's benefiting from shelter in place?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder if that's how that deal came to be.
It's very possible because ain't nobody doing nothing, and they're doing tournaments with this stuff on television.
That is also true. I didn't even think of that part.
There was a Madden tournament. There was a 2K NBA tournament.
Did you hear about the Madden tournament that just ended? Like the professional?
I did not.
So the guy that won it threw exactly 0 passes through the entire tournament. Ran the ball every time. Nobody could stop him.
Was it Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson?
Well, no. I have to. No. This was somebody they were literally playing for money. Like these were this guy's livelihood.
No, but I'm saying who was he using to do it?
I'll be very curious to look that up.
Because I can tell you, it probably wasn't Ryan Tannehill.
You never know.
Or Fitzmagic.
Let's be honest. Michael Vick for a number of years was the cheat code there, where you just called a rollout. If somebody's open, pass it. If not, tuck and run because he was faster than everybody in the game.
Not Ron Mexico.
I hate that.
I was very upset that they never addressed that in the 30 for 30.
I hate that you said that.
I hate that they never addressed it in the 30 for 30. All right, let's do the plugs and get out of here.
All right.
We thank you so much for joining us in each and every week. The next couple of weeks are going to be a little wonky. Stay with us on our social media, and we'll tell you where we're going to be and when, because the next 2 Sundays are pay-per-view days. So the Cheap Popcast kind of takes over on those days. Visit our website. I know it's not updated because we don't have any reviews to put up. But you can go to www.theclubhousepodcast.com. I don't know where the ding is. Okay, there's a ding that's supposed to be here.
Ding.
Where is it? I know it's not. It's not this one. That's the other one. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. There it is right there. Sorry. Found it. Find out everything you know, some stuff you don't. Follow us on social media. Twitter is @Clubhouse Show. Everything else is the Clubhouse Podcast. All 3 words in that order, or you will wind up somewhere else. You can follow me on social media if you would like. Everything is that Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN. Tomorrow night's poetry reading will be Yertle the Turtle.
I'm Jen Romehome on Instagram.
I am Vexblood on all social media. Remember, if you'd like to help out the shows, go to prowrestlingtees.com/thecheappopcast and buy shirts. And just to circle back real quick, it was the Ryan Tannehill-led Titans offense that he never threw past.
Son of a God.
But make sure you check out with us every weekend. We'll be posting stuff, but we will be on VOKALnow.com, VOKAL now.com, or download the Vokal app and be vocal anywhere.
Vocal. And check out all the great shows right here on the Vocal Now Network. I was going to go here, but
that's what I was trying to tell you. It was that way. It looked like you were looking. But
I
wasn't
sure if that, because I don't have the camera. I can't tell if it points to that or not. Check out all the great shoes. Right? A lot of big shoes. All of a sudden, it became Ed
really
Sullivan.
Big shoe.
I'm not sure what happened there.
Right here in our stage, the Beatles.
All the great shows right here at Vocal Now. We are so proud to be a member of the Vocal family. The guys here and the ladies here do such an amazing job. There's literally something for everybody. Just go browse through stuff. The official fact checker of this show is Don Ford. You can follow him on Twitter at Igbunu, IGUBUN.
Pull letters out of a hat. They're all B-U-N.
U-N-U-U-U.
Years, I still don't have it right. You also, if you want to have us come once things get back to abnormal, we would love to come do a remote show with you at your business. Email Don at theclubhousepodcast.com. You can email me, questions, comments, concerns, tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Parker's on Pinterest because we're morally obligated to say that, and she knows how to use her pool vacuum now. You're welcome. Sean's at the house waiting on Alex, even though she bought him Ito earlier today, so she has equity. She did buy you Ito earlier today.
Yes, she did.
The greatness of Ito.
Yes, it is.
It's one of the things I'm looking forward to.
Shout out to Al.
Our normal show every Sunday night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, is your one-stop shop for all things pop culture. Thanks to host of Big 12 Talk, Jay Gillespie out there, our engineer, making things look good, even though we have to keep stealing the cursor from each other depending on what's going on. It's our new studio, and we love our new house. It's so much fun to do this each and every week. We can't wait to do it with you again very, very soon. So until next time, for Jen Rome, for Alex, for Jay, for the Empire, for Don, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed, and I know there was a UFC event last night, but Brittany Palmer hasn't been posting much lately, so I'm not sure what's going on there.